Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly update for January 3rd, 2021. Yay, we made it. Anyway, so it has been a really weird week for me. I started off in the early part of the week. It was very slow at work. Longest days ever, and I was just like kind of like in a reading slump. Like I would get home, and even though I did like nothing, I mean I was working at work, but I did all my project stuff that I hate, you know, kind of wasn't fat, you know, nobody was calling me, blah blah blah. It was really boring actually, and I just didn't feel like reading when I got home from work. So the first couple days of the week I didn't read all that much, which was, you know, kind of annoying. But then of course I knew that the new year was coming, so I had a few library books and I had a few short things that I wanted to finish up, and I thought, well, let's just do it. So I finished a lot of these on the 31st because I got off early. They let us go early. They're nice. And I just wanted to get through it. Anyway, so I don't know. So it's been kind of, and then this weekend I've done a lot of really fun stuff. I restarted my book journal. So I had done this in 2019 and I used to show it in my stats videos, and then 2020 was, again, I never got it started. I never did anything. So I went back and I did 2 spreads of stuff for 2020 that I want to show in my stats video, and then I put down a list of my 5-star reads so that I was able to pick from that to do my top 10 books of the year. So that video was put up yesterday. I've done all my videos except for my stats videos. So I have December's stats coming up, reading stats coming up this next week. And then hopefully next weekend I will be able to compile all my stuff for 2020 and see how that all came out. So if there's any specific like kind of data point that you want to hear about, again, I try to cover a lot of things, but maybe it'll be something I could think about either for next year or that I have the data for that I can tell you guys about. So you can let me know if you have anything. But I'm going to do, as I said, I have a list of things that I want to do, but you know, if there's anything extra. So anyway, I restarted my journal. I've done everything in here for this year except for my series. I haven't figured out how to plot that because I found out I had at least 60 series that I am actively wanting to finish. And there's actually a few more that I kind of went, I don't know if I'm ever going to return to that one. So I don't know. There's probably more than that. And then I know I have like over 100 first books in series easily, in all different genres. So my goal is to finish a few of those series, continue some, and then hopefully start only a few this year. So we will see, because I have a whole ton. So I think I really am going to have to do those, try a chapter on the backup of the first books, because I need to get rid of some and just decide, okay, these ones I might not be able to read them right now, but I'm interested in them. So I'll keep those and get rid of the ones that I'm not. So I will probably do one of those in the next week or two. Anyway, so my reading was really weird. I didn't read a whole lot in the first couple days of the week. And then I started finishing a lot of little things or things that I hadn't finished that I wanted to get done by the end of the year. I did carry over 3 big books, but I'm hoping to get to those and finish those in January, but we'll see. I don't know. It's been a really weird reading year already. So let's see if I can find the first book that I finished, though, was oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Oh, there you go. So is When She Was Naughty by Tessa Dare. So again, I'm going to go through all the books that I finished, then the books that I'm in the middle of, and then what I think I'm going to read in the next week. Sorry. Anyway, so the first book that I finished was on Wednesday. Tessa Dare sent out a freebie on her newsletter. You could also get it for 99 cents on, I think, on Amazon and Gobo and all those, you know, all the other vendors. But this was really a cute little short story. It was like maybe 50 pages at the most. I don't even think it was that long. But it was about a woman, you know, again, it's historical romance. And this woman kind of teases her brother's wife's cousin, who she's been having kind of like this year that they've been, after her brother got married, that she and this Earl have been kind of having kind of a weird relationship. She thinks he hates her because he nitpicks on her sometimes, and she's not sure. So she kind of makes him this ugly cummerbund to wear for the party, to be like ugly sweater, kind of Christmas sweater kind of thing. And he shows up in it thinking that this is to him being accepted to the family, and it kind of goes from there. Their discussions are fantastic in there of learning about what the other is thinking and what they want and stuff. I thought it went really, really well for a little short story. I mean, again, I would have liked a bigger book and more stuff going on, but I think it was really well done, and the conversations in here were so good. It reminds me how much I like Tessa Dare and how much I need to get back to her other series that I'm in the middle of, the Spindle Cove series, and I haven't started the Girl Meets Duke one yet. So, so I did enjoy that. And where's the other one? And then I finished at work on Thursday an audiobook, because normally I don't get to listen to audiobooks because my coworker talks to me constantly, which is no problem really, but sometimes it's nice to put my headphones on and ignore everybody. But I was able to do that on Thursday because she was off. But I finished an audiobook that I had started, I think, before Christmas, which is A Round of Stories by the Christmas Fire by Charles Dickens, Elizabeth Gaskell, Edmund Oliver, yeah, I think, Edmund Saul Dixon, and Harriet Martineau. So I didn't really like this. This audiobook, they're weird stories. So, and they're not all ghostly stories, because a lot of times Victorian Christmas stories were ghostly in some way, you know, like the stories that they told at night. So it was weird. It was a weird, some of the stories were very weird. Elizabeth Gaskell's was my favorite, and it was really the only shining light in this story, in this collection. So it was an okay audiobook. I got it really cheap on Audible. Sometime in the middle of the year, I paid, bought it. So I wanted to make sure I read it this year, listened to it, which I did. And I'm trying to read more of the Charles Dickens collaborations as well. I want to get back to reading more of his works. But this one just didn't do a whole lot for me. So I can't really recommend this one, except for the Elizabeth Gaskell's short story, which then I came home and I had the Old Nurse's Story in this little Penguin Black Classic, the little classics. And I think that's what they call. My brain just shut down what these are called. Little Black Classics, yeah. So I decided I would mark this one as read on my Goodreads because it was so good. I wanted to give this one 4 stars. I did not give the other collection. I gave that a 2. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was okay. Like, as I said, 2 is an okay. But I loved this short story, and I definitely want to get back to read more of her Gothic tales, because I dipped into it a couple of years ago and never finished that book. I still have my, bookmark in there of where I stopped. So I do want to get back to some of her books. I have a collection of them from Penguin Black Classic. So, but the Old Nurse's Story is about a woman who is a very young woman who is the the nurse to a young child. Child had just lost her parents, and now she's being sent as a ward to this manor where one of her relatives sent her there so that she would kind of be around a woman in her 80s who is their relative, who has been on her own as a spinster. I mean, she's 80 and she's never married. Anyway, the point is that they're up in the north of the country, and the moors and all that kind of stuff, and there's kind of like some weird happenings at the manor that the nurse is like, what is going on? There's like this organ that plays sometimes in the middle of the night, and then there are other little things, and then something happens to the little girl that kind of makes this more into a ghost story, and then it goes from there. And then I really liked the way it went. I saw it coming after a certain point. I didn't know how it would end though, so I liked the way it went for a short story. It was satisfying in that. Again, I'm not really big on short stories, but I did like it. I do recommend this one, and I gave this one 4 stars because it was so much better than all the other stories in that audiobook. But then this also has one other short story in it, Curious If True, which was an odd story, and I had not read that one either. But this one had to do with a man who was in France trying to do some legal stuff, and he goes for a walk outside of town, and he kind of gets lost, and he finds an old manor. It's gotten dark, and he tries to go there to get help, and there's this weird party with all these people who are kind of like dignitaries, or they're like people who are like, I don't know, like duchesses and dukes and things like that, but they don't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of, I think it's supposed to be kind of a play of like Alice in Wonderland, not kind of like that, but I mean, because this is more that, it was just kind of like, it was kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You're not sure if it was just dreaming or if it really happened, and I think that's kind of clear from the way that it was weird. It was a weird little story. Anyway, but I really liked the nurse's story, so I could totally recommend that. And then on the way home from work, I'd stopped at the library because I had some books to drop off because I had some due, and then I picked up some. So one of the ones I picked up was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charles, oh, I can't remember how to say his last name because it's all written in his weird cursive and it's hard to read. Mackenzie maybe. This was just adorable, and again, I saw this on Merphy Napier's channel and how much she loved it, and so I just put it on my hold list in December at some point to get it. And it is just, it's really really short story or novel. It's a picture book, but about a little boy and his conversations with a mole, a fox, and a horse, and what they talk about. And it's really sweet, but it's really poignant in his discussions of being alone or being with friends, and being nice, and being looking at the world a different way. And it was very heartwarming. I'm glad I read it. Again, I'm not like, I don't have kids or anybody to read it to or anything, but I think it's a really pretty book, and I do think if you're interested, you should read it. I'm not explaining it very well. It's really hard to, because it's a kid's book, but it was really sweet. That's about all I can say about that. And I just got it on a whim kind of thing. During the week though, I had picked up The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. So I liked the Twisted Ones, but I didn't love it. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted it to be so much more. And so I decided to try her next horror book just to see if it's just her writing that I didn't get along with, or just that story. And I've decided I love her. I really like her writing. But she's kind of like soft horror, and it's very different and slow in a way that I was not expecting, I guess. So this is kind of, if you like the Twisted Ones, you'll probably like The Hollow Places too. I think this one I liked better just due to it's more of a portal fantasy. Twisted Ones was okay. As I said, I wanted it to be more. And this one I kind of went in knowing it's probably gonna be more like that one, and it was, but I liked the way this went better. It was funny because this one had, like, that one had a dog in that, this one had a cat, and this one has to do with, oh, what was her name? It was Kara? Yeah, Kara. And she's newly divorced, and her husband, her ex-husband got pretty much everything, and she's a freelance graphic designer. So her uncle, who has a little curiosity museum in, I think, North Carolina, and she goes to live with him and to work with him. And so and it's one of those places that has, like, oh, there's this, like, it's like a big bear, like different taxidermy things, and then there's like little trinkets from all around the world. It's really curiosities kind of thing. So it's like a little museum. Anyway, so it sounds like a cool place. And so he goes in for, her uncle has to go in for knee surgery, and so she's left to take care of the museum. And then one day something or somebody breaks a hole in the wall, and when they go into that wall, it takes them somewhere else. And it was really an interesting story. I'm not explaining this very well. I really did enjoy this one. I think she had a lot of good, like, the horror moments of the way that, you're not sure what's going to happen. You're not sure what's going to happen in the end. I think my problem sometimes with this is because this one's first person, that you know she survives because she's telling the story. I mean, again, you could twist it in the end and it could, but most of the time you know that she survives because they kind of give hints that, you know, she doesn't do as much in this one of the, hey, if I, you know, I would have done it differently if I'd known that. Like, there wasn't as much of that in here as it was in the first book, the other one, the twisted ones. So it wasn't quite so obvious to me. So she did better on that. I did like that. I love the cat in here. I loved her friend Simon, who runs the coffee shop next door, and their interactions, and because they're the ones who go through the portal. And it was weird world. And I liked the way it ended. Like, I liked some of the ways what happened as how it turned out to what had happened. And I think I thought it was a really good book. I was not super scared or anything. It was a quiet horror novel to me. And I liked it because it's fantastical. And it was, you know, but it was realistic in the world because she had, you know, normal problems and then also had to deal with this. And I really enjoyed it overall. And I'm glad I picked it up. I mean, they're not books like this one, and the twisted ones are not ones I'm going to pick up again, but I did enjoy them, and I will probably read another one if she has another book that's kind of this kind. I do enjoy them enough to read them. So those are all the books that I finished for 2020. So all those went, and I barely finished this. I finished this like at 9 o'clock, I think. Yeah, 9 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I finished this book because I had like 200 pages to read, and I finished it out that day because I wanted to get it done. Anyway, as I said, I read quite a few books, and I'll do all that in my my stat stuff when I get to that. So then on the first thing I picked up was 84 Carrying Cross Road by Helene Hanff. So I read this a couple of years ago and just adored it. Sarah at Hardcover Hearts does a annual read-along of this book on the 1st of January every year. I didn't do it last year because I think I just read it that year or the year before, so I was like, oh, I don't need to read it. I didn't do it last year. But this year I decided to pick it up, and I got the audiobook from my library. So it was just 2 hours. It was really quick. It's like a 94 page. It's 97 page book. Again, it's all in letter form, so a lot of the letters are short. It doesn't take long to read. But it was a great start to the year. I listened to this as I was playing with my book journal, so it was nice to read or to listen to that. It was a really good audiobook. And it had it had a cast of characters or people or narrators who did this. So I really enjoyed this. So again, it's about a woman who has a correspondence. She's from New York, and the correspondence is with a bookshop in London, and it's over 20 years of letters back and forth between them about books that she wants. She's very funny, and she just is hilarious. And she did some really nice acts of kindness during those times by sending them gift packages and things because London had such rations and going on, and so she helped out a lot. It was just a really good book. I'm glad I reread that. It was a fun way to start the year, I guess. So I enjoyed that. So thanks to Sarah at Hardcover Hearts for doing that. And then the only other thing I finished last night, and that was my first book of 2021 that was new to me, is Sex and Lies: True Stories of Women's Intimate Lives in the Arab World by Leah Slimani. So she wrote The Perfect Nanny and Adele. This was translated from the French by Sophie Lewis. So this is a nonfiction. She works as a journalist as well. And it was her interviewing women in Morocco about pretty much about not about their sex lives, but just about it was, but not. It's more talking about the situation of how there are certain laws in place and how things are all supposed to be private, but nothing outwardly can be shown of your feelings or physically of interaction with anybody else. And this was heartbreaking. Again, this is written in a different style than some of the oral histories I've read in other ones. She has her part of talking like in different sections to people, and then in italics will be all the interview of what the other woman is talking about. So it does give like the oral history, like what I enjoy in certain nonfiction. So it separates out what the author is saying in normal print, and then in the italics is all the stuff that the person she's talking to and her story, and it's pretty solid usually of what she's saying. There's a few things like that the author will make a comment on, but mostly it's just straight from what she's saying. And again, they're usually between 4 and 8 pages per section. It's only 160 pages. It wasn't a fast read because some of the stories were just harrowing of what the people that they knew or that had happened to them and the things they had to deal with. And it's just not a situation that I am very lucky to be, again, I'm single in my 40s, and there is some stigma with that I don't have kids and I'm not married. But I've been living on my own since my early 20s, and there was never any problem with that or any weird, like there's no weirdness about that some of them have that. And then there's things about how they can't hold hands in public. They can't, again, in Morocco, and a lot of things where everybody does stuff behind closed doors. I mean, sex is just a human thing, and that you can't show that, like you can't be out in the open, and it can't, people are having affairs and doing things, and people are not, not everybody's virgins when they're married, but they have to pull off that, yeah, that's what the society is telling us to do. And it was heartbreaking. And a lot of things is like there's certain parts of it that was like the purity, thing where, everybody's pure and everything, all the girls are virginal, and that all the guys will go off and have, sow their oats, but, the wives that they marry have to be a virgin kind of thing. And again, it's stuff that's been through a lot of people's histories. And as she's saying, is that they're getting modernized more and more, but it's just there's certain things that they're still fighting against and fighting for rights for, for women and for homosexuals and, those kind of things, because they're gay rights, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this was such a powerful book, and it was so short, and I wish it was longer. There was more to it. There was more to, but I think it's also compact, and so it's a good read to start. I read this for Morocco for the Invisible Cities project, so I'm glad I did that. I don't even know who mentioned this on what. It popped up, and I got it from the library pretty quickly, so I'm glad I did. I need to learn a lot more about this area. I don't know anything about Morocco. That was just kind of like my first anything. Like, I don't know if I've read anything on it. So I definitely want to look more into Arab world, like countries that I don't know a lot about. So, but this was it was heartbreaking entry. It was hard to read, and I felt so bad for so many people. And also, and again, it's just these women. I feel for them, and I don't know what to do. But it was really good, and I'm glad I read that for that. So, okay, I love long videos. I hope you do too. Anyway, so what I'm in the process of reading is I picked up another book for the Invisible Cities project. Japan is one of the other countries on the list. So If Cats Disappear from the World sorry, my phone's doing weird stuff, is by Genki Kawamura. So this is, I guess, a pretty popular book in Japan. Sold 1 million copies. This is translated from Eric Selland. So it has to do with a man who just got diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he's kind of in shock, and he goes home just like, I don't know what to do. The doctors think he could drop dead anytime, but he also could be up to 6 months. And so he's, devastated, pretty much, gets home, and there's this weird guy in his house that looks exactly like him, except dressed in an aloha, a Hawaiian shirt, kind of thing. So he, it's the devil, and he's here to make a bargain with him. And so we follow the main character who deals with making a choice to live another day. He has to make something disappear from the world. So I've only read the first, I'm in the middle of the second day, so he hasn't made a choice yet for, he made his first choice, and then, so then it's kind of the repercussions of what that is, but he's also, is trying to deal with stuff in his past, so he went and saw, an ex-girlfriend and was talking to her about the past, and so it's kind of his, I think, is coming to terms with his mortality, and then, but also, we're gonna these weird scenes with the devil. So far, it's really well. It's really fast paced. It's really quick. It has some good humor in it. I love the little cat, Cabbage. His cat is there, and it's just cute. But we know that that's gonna come into play at near the end. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so this is one of the two of the Japanese books that I had about cats. So I thought I'd pick up this one first. I just did. Anyway, so as I said, I'm about 60 pages. Yeah, 60 pages in on this. I think it's about 200. Yeah, just over 200 pages. So I might not finish this today. I might just read another section and then finish it off tomorrow. But I am enjoying that. So hopefully I'll continue with that one. I did start my reread of The Warden by Anthony Trollope. I am connected to a group on Instagram about, I think it's their Trollope, I don't know what the challenge is. We're going to read all the Barsetshire books this year. And I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way through, but I want to at least read this one and then the next one, because the next one has been on my TBR for a while and I want to get that done. So The Warden, though, I read over 2 years ago, and I did enjoy it. So I've decided to reread it during January when the people who haven't read it before are reading it for the first time. So we'll have discussions at the end of the month. But it's just like about 230 pages, I think. Yeah. A little over 230 pages, and so I figured I'd just read a chapter a day for a while, you know, and just get through it a little bit here and there, and then you know, so I'll have it done by the end of the month. And so it's just a reread. I do remember quite a bit about it, but I just thought, oh, I'll just reread it because in the second book some of the characters come up again. So anyway, so again, this was, I don't remember what year this was written in, but definitely in the mid 1800s. Oh, 1855. So, and again, it's the first in the 6-book series of the Barsetshire series, so I am going to read that. So I just started. I only read 8 pages. I read the first chapter. So we'll get to that. And then this is the other one that I'm currently reading, one of the big ones. European Travel for the Monstrous Gentleman by Theodora Goss. So this is book 2 in the Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the first book, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. I did that as a read-along back in November. And I picked this up in December because I want to get through series. And I bought the second book and thought, well, I'll just get this done before the end of the year. Yeah, it didn't happen. I'm only 230 pages in, and I don't understand what my problem is with this book. I enjoy it when I read it. Like, I like the characters. I like the plot. It's not even that it's slow. I mean, I wish I could say that this is the problem, but this has to do with women that are descendants or characters from classic horror books from the 1800s, and they're in the late 1800s. I think probably close to 1890s. I'm not quite sure, but they're now they're together. They're the Athena Club. They live in Mary Jekyll's house, who is the daughter of Dr. Jekyll, and there's several characters. And so the first book, you know, introduces them all and their backstories and stuff. And then this one takes on, they're going to go try to rescue Van Helsing's daughter who's in trouble. And there's just so much to love about this, and I don't know why I keep putting it down. So I don't know. I am gonna try to, you know, plow through it. I keep hoping I'm gonna hit a point where I'm just gonna then want to just continue on. I still have 470 pages of this to read. I don't know what my problem is. So I'm hoping that I can stop starting books and just get back to this and just read this. So we'll see. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna finish it in January. I mean, I will. I just I need to do it. I am going back to continue with Red Comet, the short and blazing art of Sylvia Plath by Heather Clark. I got my own copy now, but I am only about about, well, 92 pages and you can't even see my, there it is. It's like a 46 or 48 hour audiobook, and I still have 40 hours left on this. But I want to restart or start from there again and continue on. So I will start listening to it again on Monday on my commute to work. So I'm hoping to make progress in it in the next week. This probably will not get done in January. I don't expect it to, just because of how much I listen to audiobooks. It's really mostly just in my car. So we'll see. But again, this is about Sylvia Plath and her life, and it's fantastic. I mean, just so much detail and so much talking about her creativeness and her that kind of stuff that I just admire so much. So I'm really want to get farther into that and finish that. So if for some reason I finish some of these books, this is the book I want to pick up next. But I want to start it right now, but I can't. I already have so many books on the go, so we'll see. Maybe I have to read so much of European travel before I get there. But I really want to start Hot and Badgered by Shelley Lawrenston. This is the first book in the Honey Badger Chronicles. Honey Badger's Chronicles. So this is paranormal romance. It's gonna be hilarious. I love her writing. And this is a trilogy. Well, I thought it was a trilogy, and I have the first 3 books. And I just found out there's a 4th book coming out in August. So now I'm like, I need to read these before another book comes out. So yes, I pre-ordered it, but I can always cancel the pre-order if these don't work for me. But I have already all 3 of these. So I'm going to read the 3 that are out. And then again, the 4th one's coming out now in August. And I'm like, ah. So all I know about this is about some honey badgers that were... they were survivors from something happened to their family, and so another clan, I think, protects them and takes them in, and it's their interaction with that when they were growing up, and then now again they're adults and things just are crazy. And again, her books are just hilarious. Again, it's the same author as G.A. Aiken, so all of her books are just fun, and I love them. So I need to read more of her books that I have. This series, I just want to get to it. I want to read it so bad, but I have so many books on the go already. So I'm hoping I'll get to this sometime this week, but I really need to hold off, I think. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, that is all the books, things I finished up for 2020 and then starting in 2021. So how was your guys' reading in the last week of the year? Did you get a lot of little things done or a lot of finishing up some books that you wanted to? As I said, 3 books carried over, big books, but I'm hoping to get 1 done this month, maybe 2. And then again, that audiobook is going to take me forever, but it's fine. And then I want to start all the books. I'm just having trouble, obviously. Anyway, so let me know how you guys are doing, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.